Cell phone bans at school, new curriculum in your child's classroom, and a test to see if teachers are too woke to teach in Oklahoma. We have a lot to get to in this year's Superintendent Roundtable before we head back to school. Thanks for joining us. I'm Abigail Ogle, and we are joined now by district leaders from across our area. Thank you all for taking the time to talk with us today. And we want to start inside the classroom. Of course, those new curriculum standards for social studies just handed down from the State Department of Education. We'll start with Dr. Nick Migliorino with Norman.
Abigail, I appreciate you asking that question. So I want to take us back in time just a little bit, and I have to share something that I've been very open with, is that, first of all, I'm disappointed in how we got to this point. There were plenty of opportunities to have more conversations. For example, I wish at the legislature they would have given the opportunity for us to have more discussion. I wish at the State Department they would have looked more into it and taken the suggestions that were provided. End of the day, that did not happen. I'm not saying anyone broke laws, but just wish the conversations could have been held in a different way. With that being said, in Norman Public Schools, we have experts taking a look at the standards that have been passed down to us. We're prioritizing them. We're exercising local control on what order and what we are teaching when.
And if I can jump in regards of when we were, Oklahoma City Public Schools was notified that the standards were ready to take a look at, we went into action. And by that, we had a cadence where we not only asked our principals, our teachers, we asked our students in regards of to look through the standards, couldn't look through each and every last one, pick a grade level and a standard, dig a little deeper in there, as well as to tell our curriculum department, what does that mean?
I think just for parents, really quickly, we need to explain what is different, what topics were added and what topics were taken away.
Some of the controversial standards, as I've looked at them, is, you know, there's I think about 40 more references towards the Bible, which causes us some constitutionality problems we're not really familiar with. A bigger issue too is some of the critical thinking things that they wants us to teach our kids to think about the interference that might have taken place in the 2020 election, and all those things are, as an educator, they make me uncomfortable because it might skew towards more of a political or an ideological bias that I don't think needs to take place in a classroom.
Dr. Jason James with Shawnee, thank you. Dr. Jamie Polk with Oklahoma City Public Schools, thank you. You mentioned that maybe there wasn't a dialogue between superintendents and the State Department. Did any of you talk to the superintendent?
For Oklahoma City Public Schools, we did. And it was not just with myself, it was with board members, as well as we had a student in the space. I have to realize also that being a district of 33,000 students, we can't speak for the entire state. However, it's always important to stop and come to the table, and for those who know, that's what I do. So, yes, I have had a conversation before it went public in regards of that they were coming. So we put protocols in place, so if and when you feel you're saying or doing something you don't feel comfortable with, here's the process.
I think it's really important to understand, we've had words mentioned like process and those types of things. I think it's really important for us to understand that legislatively, via the state board, via the State Department, all the way down to where, you know, standards, you know, land at the feet of a student in a classroom, there are multiple processes and conversations that go through all of these things. I think it's important also to understand, we talk about how standards are not curriculum. Standards are standards that guide our, you know, education that we provide our students, but they are not a script in which we read to our students.
In my position since the State Department Superintendent Walters has been elected, I have yet to have a conversation with him. He has been invited, nor have we had those conversations with people at the State Department.
Let me ask the rest of you, Dr. Rick Kopp of Middell, Stillwater, Tyler Bridges, you mentioned this, Keith Steiner with UConn, Dr. Jason Perez. Do you have that more open dialogue dynamic with the State Board and Superintendent Walters that Dr. Polk has been able to grow, or is it more like the Norman situation with Dr. Migliorino where you haven't been granted these face-to-face one-on-one meetings?
No opportunity opportunities, and I will tell you that with the social studies standards, as well as the proposed rules that came out, I did provide rebuttal in public comment. I even went and spoke for public comment on both of those topics, and there was no response back from the State Department. I also shared that information with my board and with my legislators as well. Really, they were sussing out these social studies standards, that there wasn't more of an opportunity to really seek out that knowledge base that exists in the public schools. And I'm not the most knowledgeable person in my district when it comes to curriculum. I have great people around me, though, that can provide that voice or can help me with that, and those opportunities aren't presented. And you can ask. And I've asked, and I've stopped asking, because there's only so many times I'm going to, ask somebody to the prom, they're going to tell me no, and I'm just going to stop asking at that point.
And I would agree with that. But over the last few years, we've had no face-to-face time, me and leaders in my district with the state superintendent. He's been invited, and not only hasn't come, but also hasn't responded to those invitations. Dr. Millerino leads our Metro Superintendent Consortium. He's invited Superintendent Walters, I don't know how many times, and I don't know if you get a decline on that, but he has not come.
Do you get a response?
Not at all.
No, and so it's the effort hasn't been there. A number of times that we've heard what his expectations of us are through the media or on Twitter, without actually having direct contact with any of us. As far as the social studies standards go, as everyone else has said, there was a process in place, but that process included content specialists from across the district, including some from my district. And I can tell you the ones that I've talked to are frustrated because this final product does not reflect the work that they did. And they are the content specialists.
That's a good point
in the state.
Though, Rick, like the mandates that we find out about after the media and after our patrons, and that's not really the best process in the world for us to be able to try to put these things into place.
So if for a superintendent to have that two-way communication with Superintendent Walters, I think is beneficial to you and beneficial to your district. All of us, all 500 plus superintendents in the state, don't have that luxury though.
Okay.
I have had the opportunity. We called the meeting at Tuttle when I was at Tuttle, and there's probably 5 or 6 superintendents that had the opportunity to meet with him, and I've met with him previously to him becoming state superintendent when he was Secretary of Ed. It's not frequent like Dr. Polk, but I have had the opportunity to visit with him and share concerns.
Another big change heading into this school year has everything to do with this. Bell-to-bell, no cell, passed by our state lawmakers this past session, Senate Bill 139. Each district essentially tasked with creating your own policy. The policies we've seen are pretty similar, a few differences. But what was that process like for each of you to remove cell phones from instruction time?
I'll jump in on that first, because obviously we haven't seen the reaction just yet from the students. They haven't walked through the doors yet. In Deer Creek, we pretty much had them banned for most of the school day. Our middle school, the students could get them out during lunch. At the high school, they get them out between classes and at lunch, and so obviously those pieces are going away. And I think that overall we're in favor of that, but I think that there's another piece though to this that is missing, is that we can have the rule, but that's not really, if we're saying that cell phones are an issue, cell phones aren't being issued out by the schools. They're coming to us. So this is a community issue, and there's an education component that needs to be had in this as well.
One of the things that I'm worried about is every one of these initiatives that gets passed by the legislature ends up right on the teacher's desk. So it's going to be, teachers are going to have to, I remember when I first became a principal back in the early 2000s, 9 out of every 10 issue I dealt with was a cell phone. And then we went all one-to-one and and that stuff went away, and that pendulum has swung too far now. And what I'm worried about is our teachers, their actual instruction, the things that they're hired to do to impact academic outcomes for our kids are going to be reduced because they're going to be fighting a battle with kids who are used to being able to be on their phone. Yeah, our district passed a policy that says bell-to-bell, no cell phones, but are we going to have a bunch of kids now that's going to want the hall pass to go to the bathroom so they could check their social media on the way, and how that works, and what's the reaction of the school going to be when we see those things? It's just going to be really interesting on how that plays out in the first month and a half of school.
But I will say on a more optimistic side, thinking about that, kind of that first initial hump that we have to get over. I don't think anyone on this panel would disagree, and most of the public would disagree as well, that they are a huge distraction to the educational process. I think we understand that. All of these other conversations, they're 100% right. My hope is that once we get past some of that initial piece and there's some retraining and we kind of get used to this, that we're going to see re-engagement of students.
Normally, I don't think it's the legislature's place to tell us what discipline rules we have to have in place for our schools. But if this is the impetus for us to have more serious conversations with families about engagement in class, then I think it's a good thing. The cell phone, as Dr. Perez pointed out, we didn't buy that for the student, the parents did. And so when the cell phone gets confiscated, it's going to be a conversation with the parents. And after so many consequences, it's going to be the parents' responsibility to come pick it up. And we're not going to wait until 6, 7 p.m. until you can be there to do it. We've talked to other districts that have already done this. And what they found is that after a very short period of time, everybody adjusted to it.
Is there anybody that's setting up a policy where the students have to basically like turn in their phone at the beginning of the day and then pick it up at the end of the day?
No.
Because we're not either. And I think sometimes parents get confused and they hear no phones bell to bell and their child isn't going to have their phone with them. There's just a little confusion out there about this, and that pushback from parents is they feel like they're not ever going to be able to get a hold of their child if there's an emergency, and that's probably not realistic.
All these things, I mean, none of us have the answer to this, and we're going to be in communication about what's working well, what's not working well, but I think the important thing is to hear from our classroom teachers about the struggles that they're having with this, so they're not taken away from instruction dealing with the cell phone issue. So that becomes counterproductive. They are a distraction, but we're going to have continual conversations like we always do. And this will be a conversation that we will be having on multiple occasions throughout the year. So we will be learning as we go.
And we mentioned, Dr. Perez, I believe you mentioned parents being a little worried, being a little skeptical of this. How am I going to be able to reach my child? Or if there's an emergency, I need my child to have their phone. That is one of the concerns, one of the cons we saw when it comes to this bell-to-bell no cell. Speaking of safety, though, it is a topic that we talked about nearly every day a few years ago, school security. So since then, what has changed? Are changes still being made? School safety, next. Welcome back to our Superintendent Roundtable. This was the scene 3 years ago in Uvalde, Texas. 19 young students and 2 teachers were murdered inside Robb Elementary School. In the weeks that followed, schools across the country took a hard look at their security, potentially their weak spots, and that includes right here in Oklahoma. As we join our panel, I will say we covered school security for weeks throughout all of our newscasts. That's what parents wanted to hear about. We haven't heard as much about it recently. So let me ask you, what changes have been made? Are they still being made, and have you seen these changes work?
So at the district level, we're never not thinking about school safety. And so it may not be the hot topic of conversation in every building at every time, at every minute, but we're always being mindful about how we can keep our buildings safer. When you look at activities, when you look at our buildings, when you look at the what if scenarios, we're more prepared than we've ever been, but we also know there's something out there we haven't thought of, because there's always something.
And I think we can always talk about those processes and maybe even hardening of schools and secure vestibules and check-in systems and all the things that a lot of, most schools have implemented across the state. But I think something maybe that happens behind the scenes that a lot of people don't realize, that happens are part of our multi-tiered systems of support and things, and not only counseling services and early intervention things, but we have processes for threat assessments. I mean, we do hear things.
And Dr. Migliorino, you had mentioned too kind of the reciprocal aspect of this between districts, and Dr. Cobb, you said that's something that you all feel like you have improved in the recent years. Walk me through that dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know there's been incidents in Oklahoma in our schools, and it's not if but when something else is going to happen. And the great thing in Oklahoma is our kids get to participate in so many activities, and they don't all happen just on our campuses. they travel. We travel and share kids, right? When my kids go to Middale or wherever, I expect them to be taken care of and safe. And ahead of time, we're doing a better job of communicating our safety protocols, whether it's for our fans or our students, what we have in place, and if something were to happen, what we're going to do with our neighboring districts.
Something else that we have to ask you about, parents were big on this one. No more virtual days. That was a big change handed down from the state capitol. If you had asked me about this 10 years ago, I would have said, what's a virtual day? But it's something that we really have been relying on. So no more virtual days. How is that going to impact your school calendar? What does that mean for your planning as a district?
So I will say when this came out, this was a tough pill to swallow, honestly. So many of us post-COVID, we put a lot of protocols in place to get our school districts up to one-to-one devices for our students, so that way we could be able to utilize virtual learning in a productive manner. And so to roll some of that back kind of felt like we were taking steps backwards in this process rather than forwards. But again, if this is one of those things where the community as a whole feels like this is important, I always lean to local control. If my Deer Creek community felt like this is something that really needed to happen, that's why they have that local school board to help make that decision. But with legislation in place, then we're going to learn how to pivot and be able to make this work. I will say that one of the concerns that has come up has really been at the high school level, because right now one of the virtual days that gets utilized in a real beneficial way, and I'm sure many of you do this as well, is when it comes to ACT testing. On that day, the juniors still show up to do the testing, but the rest of the student body is doing virtual, so that way we have more staff to help facilitate that mandatory testing that takes place.
One of the concerns that I have is, we have neighborhood elementary schools, and it's not uncommon for power to go out just in one neighborhood or water to go out just in one neighborhood. And in the past, we could shift to virtual while all those repairs were taking place, and our teachers were trained since COVID on how to do all that. The way I read the rule now is that's no longer an option. So we either have to be forced into canceling school for everybody that day and then making it up later, which is nothing but a cost to the district, or we just have to completely throw an instructional day away because we have to come to school.
But the way the law is written, the governor has to declare a state of emergency. I can't know that in the morning when I wake up and declare a virtual day if the governor's going to declare a state of emergency. And if there's 6 inches of snow on the ground, the governor shouldn't declare a state of emergency for that, but it's a great time to utilize virtual instruction. And what we have found is that when it's a snowy day, if we have school, we have about half of our students show up and about half don't. If we have a virtual day, we have over 80% of our students actively engaged in online learning.
Completely shut the door, and to Dr. Perez's point, hopefully in the future there's some conversation that's able to be had where we can put some mechanisms in place, maybe for those that aren't utilizing it. I mean, you talked about your local board, obviously local control and those types of things, but that maybe aren't utilizing it, to its best intentions, to be able to concentrate on either getting, those districts where they need to be, or providing some additional guidance or things like that, and not removing, the allowability for certain things within law from everyone at a wholesale take. And I think that's the important piece.
And let's be real, virtual education is a real thing. We have plenty of virtual schools popping up all over the place, and if done well, it can be a good thing.
Because when this came out, I did have a conversation with Representative Lowe about the concerns, especially about the high school and the ACT, and they are open to a conversation of listening to us on making some changes that would allow some flexibility in this law.
Another big change that was just handed down, the superintendent demanding all students should be eating for free at their school. We will tackle that next. The superintendent recently came out with a mandate telling school districts to make school lunch, school meals free for all students, telling them to essentially figure out how to pay for it. I know some of your districts, some of your schools already provide free meals for your students. For those of you that don't, where are you in the process of making this happen?
So I'll start, because in Deer Creek, we aren't even close to qualifying for CEP. And so I've been very vocal about this because, in my opinion, feeding children, it's a paramount to removing a roadblock to education. For this to just become something that just gets dropped into our lap after we have already set budgets, after legislative sessions ended, to me, it doesn't really speak to the legitimacy of a mandate like this. If we're really serious about this at a state level, this is a conversation that happens well in advance with legislators who are interested in this topic and want to explore it further. There's got to be discussions about how budgetarily we can pull this off in a way that's sustainable long term, because it's expensive. In Deer Creek, we did the math on this to determine how much it would cost to feed all of our students that do not qualify for free or reduced meals. And when we talk about feeding, I think it's important to recognize we're not talking about just lunch. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I thought we were trying to make Oklahoma healthy again. We got to have breakfast too. So if we're talking about feeding children, we're talking about feeding them. It would cost us $6.5 million. And I've said this before, I can fire every single administrator, including myself, and we would still come nowhere near being able to afford to feed all of our children the way that this mandate is written. And the money that gets brought up, we were brought up specifically and called out that we have a $48.7 million surplus, which is hilarious. I wish that was the case, that I just had that lying around, because we would have the best paid teachers in the state that all had fur coats and all of our kids would be fed. They'd be fantastic. That's not the reality. And our parents understand that, because a lot of that money is money that's dedicated toward bond projects that our community voted on, that we have an obligation to be able to fulfill. We can't use that money to feed students. We can't use that money to pay teachers. There are certain pools of money that can be used in certain ways. And to lump that all together as a soundbite to show that we don't care about children is very offensive to me, and it's offensive to my community and to my educators in our district.
And can I jump in there? You know, I want to be very clear. We all feed all of our students if they need a breakfast or a lunch. Let's take that off the table. Now, in some districts, Oklahoma City, 100%. You're able 100% free, and that's fantastic. In Norman, we're able to, in 19 of our schools, 19 of our 24 sites, we're able to provide CEP lunches, so free breakfast, free lunch. The other schools, we don't, just because of where they stand. And if we were to pick up that cost for those schools, we've also done the math, right? And it's going to be about $1.7 million. If Norman wasn't eligible for CEP to do all of our schools, that would be about $6.5 million. And so I always think about, you know, what could the headline have looked like? You know, locally, Annie Mins, one of our reps, actually ran a bill on this, wanted to figure out how to become state CEP, right? I don't think it got any traction. Maybe next year it will. But let's think of what the headline could have been. State Department works with school districts throughout the legislative session and the summer to figure out how to feed kids at no or incredibly low costs. One of the ideas could have been, maybe the state and the legislature figures out, you know, we have a lot of burdens that are required on districts, but not funded. For example, teacher retirement, 7%. In Norman, that's $4 to $5 million that we're required, right, to pay for teachers' retirement. That is not funded, right? And just the difference between the minimum salary schedule for teachers and what probably the average district pays. We don't all pay on the minimum salary schedule, right? We pay above that because our teachers deserve it. In Norman, if the state met us almost all the way, that'd be another $8 million. So we're talking about $12 million that we invest into our classrooms.
I want us to quickly listen to a soundbite from one of our interviews with the superintendent here in studio. He has said and made it very clear that the problem is administration and administration costs, essentially overhead, and that is where the money should be coming from. Let's take a listen.
What we're telling school districts is you've grown administrative costs 13% in the last 4 years. Over $660 million are spent on administrative salaries. We're seeing this tremendous bloat and growth in administrative salaries. We want to cut those. We want to cut administrative positions.
How many school districts in the state of Oklahoma are currently in violation of exceeding the Oklahoma statute that limits how much of our expenses can be used in administrative expenses? And I'd be willing to bet the answer is 0. Because there is a stiff penalty, financial penalty, that districts have to incur for that. And I can tell you, my district, we're at 1.8%, and we can go up to 5%. And I don't know of any district that's even coming close to that 5% margin. We are all within the boundaries of the law, and that's also part of the accreditation process and the auditing process is to determine if we are above that. So that's my question right back, is like, tell me which school district is exceeding what's in statute. And if they are, that's a conversation. That's great.
And I've talked to some other superintendents who are not CEP districts that are looking at it now. But the deadline to apply to be a CEP district was June 30th. This mandate came out on July 7th, a week later. Again, to what Nick was saying, if we really wanted to have this conversation, it really could have flowed through the chambers of the legislature and through all of us. Instead, it's a mandate that goes out to parents and social media and the news first, and then 60 hours later, and I know it's 60 hours because I was on the phone with another superintendent when we finally got the email. This communication didn't come directly to us, it came at us. The talking points are disingenuous. The common feeling that we all share about feeding students is real, and we all look for ways to do it. I remember 7 years ago when we were able to go CEP at one school, and then a couple years later 3, and then 5, and then last year finally all of Mid-Del got to be CEP. And it's a challenge to get there. And does anybody feel confident that the federal funds that help us with child nutrition are going to be there in a year or 2 years or 3 years? I mean, there's a lot of funny stuff happening. And so right now we're out on a limb, but that limb is being supported by CEP. And if that were to go away, if that federal support for child nutrition were to go away, then I think all of us would have to rethink everything we're doing.
Yeah, federal support and a mandate that you have to do, that means something else is going to give.
That limb's going to get shaky.
Yeah, something else is going to take on that.
So let me ask you this, and a couple of examples here. So in Canadian County, there are 10 superintendents for a combined $1,640,000. In Texas County and the Panhandle in Oklahoma, we have 9 districts for almost $1 million in superintendent pay. So let me just point it out there. Our most like state when it comes to population, which I know is different geographically, but Oregon, they have 197. They have about 200 school districts. Oklahoma has more than 500. Do we have too many school districts? Is that where some of this money
could answer that question. The state of Oklahoma pays per student. So if we went all the way to one school district, the cost would still cost the same because the legislature pays for the student.
Would it though? Because wouldn't you have fewer superintendents?
You still have to have
fewer
you still have to
salaries?
people. You still have to say the number of bus drivers. You still have to say the number of kindergarten teachers.
Probably more bus drivers.
You still have to say. I mean, my advice would be if the state of Oklahoma wants to reduce administrative costs, why don't we reduce some of the burdens they ask schools to do that has nothing to do with educating kids?
I did find it interesting though, and Florida, which has 5-6 times our population, they have 67 school districts because they have 67 counties. What do you think about reducing the number of school districts here, if that would, I guess, reduce some of the spending that the superintendent would like to see reduced?
I personally believe that we're unique, and I've visited with other superintendents across the state who envy the way that we're set up because we are in community, and so we get the opportunity to serve the community in which our families choose to live in. And so people move to Yukon for a reason. People move to Deer Creek for a reason. And so, like I said, none of us were around when this was set up. And so we serve at the will of our local school board in the community that elected them.
And I think that's an overarching theme, again, is that local control process, but again, just the process. If these are things that are identified that we go through, and I think we all know, we've all been around in times where those were larger topics in terms of talks about consolidation and those kinds of things. We all look for as many efficiencies as we possibly can, whether it's lighting or control systems or CNG buses or electric, just whatever it is, we are searching for those things. We want to reinvest those potential dollars back into experiences for kids and back into making our schools as robust as they can possibly be for our students.
And my question is, why? What is the expected outcome of consolidating schools? Because if you take and look at this from a different perspective, we have 7-8 districts already in the state that essentially are consolidated school districts. We have multi-high school districts that have feeder patterns. That's the exact same thing. But you're still going to have administrative costs, you're going to have transportation costs, and all of that's going to go into it. I have family in Wapanucka. I grew up in Ardmore. The closest school is 30-40 miles away, the next community. How does that really work, and does that truly benefit those kiddos and those communities and those families? That's the question that has to be asked. What's the benefit? It can't just be, we want to save money. Because I also believe if you want to be strong, you have to invest in leadership to set a vision and to move a community or a school district.
How do we bring different stakeholders to the table so that we can collectively solve the problem, be it legislators or teachers, whatever that problem is? I think that's the missing component, because one size doesn't fit all, but we still want to stand on we're Oklahomans, but it always has to be a win-win-win. No one can lose. But how we lose is that we're not at the table. And so when we figure out the system to do a cadence of the information to get through, I think we'll take care of our children better. Not that we're not doing it good, I just think we can do better. But we can do better with your headline. Bring us all together, so then that way I can be the voice for Oklahoma City Public Schools. You can be the voice, you can be the voice, so we're not leaving anyone out, because we can't just one bite size fit it.
Speaking of headlines, the superintendent recently making more headlines, wanting out-of-state teachers to take a test to make sure they're not too woke to teach here in Oklahoma. We'll get into that. Our superintendent roundtable continues. Are teachers who come into Oklahoma from certain states too woke to teach here? The superintendent says he wants to create a test to find out. This is called the America First Assessment. I would love to ask all of you, what do you make of this test, Dr. Polk?
I get in regards of others coming into the state to ensure that they line up with our values for Oklahoma. I get that, but I think we may have use that term too loosely, where it almost instructs fear in others to be woke or not woke. I need clarification. I hear it over and over again. I need clarification in order for me in regards of what does woke mean.
So do you think we should be turning teachers away from other states if they maybe align with a certain ideology?
Not necessarily turn others away, but how do we take care of the ones that are here?
Well, and what's the problem that this is trying to solve is my big question. And I think what it's really doing is it's causing a bigger problem for us. We have a humongous teacher shortage in this state. Our emergency certified numbers continue to increase every single year, and yet now we're trying to say that we don't want teachers from states where, according to the data that's out there, they're performing at a higher level than Oklahoma. So they must have some quality teachers there. We're saying we don't want those people in our class. I want those people in my classroom. Right now, I'd be willing to bet all of us have some vacancies at our schools right now. And if there was somebody that applied from New York, California, Alaska, Hawaii, I want them. I want them. If they are a qualified teacher and they're going to do good for my students, I want them. You can have whatever political ideology you want. When you're in that classroom, I expect you to teach the standards. And that's what our educators do. And if the thought process here is that you have to align with a particular value set in order to work in Oklahoma, we're not going to have people working in Oklahoma. That's going to be a huge problem. But the thing is that whether or not this can even happen is a big question mark, because there are statutes regarding reciprocity that's already in place. But the damage is already done. That is a national headline that Oklahoma does not want teachers from New York and California. We're trying to recruit people into this profession and into this state. And even the people that are in the state that may be considering this as a profession are now wanting to backtrack on that because they don't feel like that they're going to be welcomed into the classrooms. And that is far from the truth.
I think woke is just a term that's thrown around to get people riled up. I don't know that it really has an operational meaning. I'm with Dr. Perez in that I'm mindful of the fact that the legislature cleared the way a few years ago for reciprocity between states. Teachers want to move in from another state, their certification counts. They don't have to go through that whole process here. That was huge for us. And in a military community where we have soldiers come in and their spouses want to teach, that's been a real blessing for us. I don't want a military family to have to take a woke test when they come in and a spouse wants to come teach in Middale Public Schools. It just absolutely doesn't make any sense at all.
It really goes into the local control. We have the opportunity to interview. We all interviewed people coming in, right? let us make the decision, the teachers that fit our school district in our classes.
We had a parent reach out. She has a specific question about teacher morale and keeping teachers in the classroom. Take a listen.
Lately, the way people talk about public education in Oklahoma has been really disheartening, not just for families, but especially for the teachers who show up every day for our kids. With so much negativity around the profession, how is your district working to support, develop, and keep great teachers?
It saddens all of us to hear the headlines and hear the bashing of our teachers, people who show up every single day to serve students, to help students. They're all very humanistic people, right? They love being around kiddos. And from the highest level, they're being bashed, saying you're not doing a good job. But yet all of those people who are saying this have also been taught by incredibly loving and supportive teachers. It's just really challenging. And being a state, you know, and public education takes the brunt of it all. You know, the headlines are 49th, 50th, all those things, right? But we're a choice state from what I hear on the headlines. But I don't see any of the other measurements. So you're a choice state, but you're gauging everything on public education, right? How are the others doing? Let's put the sum together of all Oklahoma kiddos to talk about Oklahoma. But going back to teachers, oh my goodness, I'll put our teachers up against anyone's. And I guarantee you, every one of us will do that. We have incredible people. So our job, our challenge is to create that environment within our school districts that is welcoming, supportive, that pays them a living wage. All of those things for the hard work they do every single day.
My message for our staff coming back this year is that, you know, there are a lot of things that are critical for us to take care of. Student achievement, safety, all of the things that go on in a school, they feel urgent all the time. But my message is to try to find a way to pair the things that are urgent with the things that bring you joy.
It's actually the building principle that will help set that morale with the support of families and the community. You'll hear others that may have this negative narrative going, but they'll say, but at my school. And so that's the whole key there, is to ensure our principals are supported so that they can protect these teachers. And we all have joy in this job because we're focused on students. But it's actually at the building level. When you ask us to solve for it, we're going to miss it. We have to get that individualized, that personal customer service at the front desk when they come in the door.
None of us are against charter schools, private schools, and I don't think they're against us. We're not against our state superintendent. What we want to do is have a conversation with everybody. How do we best serve kids? So we're all striving to be better, and we want to have that conversation of how can we be better? How can we better serve our kids? And so what I try to do in the districts that I serve in and will continue to do in Yukon is help them stay focused on what their mission is. Their mission is not to get involved with what's being said about them. It's about the kids that walk into their classroom every day. That's their mission.
Speaking of the kids inside the classroom, another topic that has been talked about out of but also in the context of education is immigration. The Oklahoma State Department of Education sued the Biden administration $500 million, saying that is the cost of illegal immigration on Oklahoma schools. So allow me to ask you, how does illegal immigration impact or cost your school districts?
So those are impossibly quantifiable numbers, because those are not pieces of information, obviously, that we are allowed or even have interest to ask our families and our students. The number one priority outside of educational outcomes is to serve our kids and our families and to keep them safe. These are human beings. I mean, I think that's a really important thing to understand, that we can give that promise to our families, that when they send us their students, regardless of their background, their status in life, that they are safe with us, they're going to be loved by us, and they're going to be cared for, and their needs are going to be met when they're with us. We are required, not just by law, but by duty and by our passions and our moral compass, to serve the students that come to us, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
All of them. We serve all of them. That is our mission in public school. regardless of what country you came from, regardless of your sexual orientation, regardless of your political ideology, regardless of your gender. It doesn't matter. If you're coming through our doors, we're going to love you, we're going to protect you, we're going to educate you. That is our mission every single day. And maybe that means that makes our teachers woke, liberal, whatever buzzword you want to use out there. They don't care. All they care about is that student that's in front of them every single day and being able to provide the best education for them and provide them a safe space during that time frame that we have.
Getting back to that idea that public education is one of the foundational pieces of what has made this country what it is, and it is one of the greatest equalizers that we have. And so it's not about who's excluded from that process. It's how can we strengthen the product for every single student that darkens our doors.
It is a common good.
Yes.
It's a common good for all people.
Good.
So the superintendent even had pushed, we heard conversations about collecting citizenship information from students and potentially their families, their parents as well. Is that something that you all actively do? Do you know a family's documented status?
No.
It's not going to happen.
We don't collect that, don't want to collect it.
Not going to happen. Good luck.
So is there anyone up here who would say, yes, illegal immigration or educating undocumented students has cost my district?
Our lane, as everybody has said, is when a kiddo walks up to the front doors of our schoolhouses, we're going to open our arms and welcome them in. That's our lane. We're going to make sure they're safe, make sure they're protected, they're fed, and their privacy is secure.
And the question is, where does that end? Because when we continue to ask questions, what group is it going to be next that is not allowed to be served? Is it certain students with special needs? Is it certain students of other backgrounds? And where does that end? And I think the overarching message is that we're here for everyone. If you come enroll in our schools, we will do everything that we would do for the student that is right behind them in line to meet their needs every single day.
You just defined a public school.
Public school.
Public. All means all.
So you guys have seen these conversations, perhaps these narratives have a direct impact at the local level.
Yeah, so it's been a while, but I was assistant superintendent at Clinton, and that community is proud of their diversity. And my much better half was the EL director at Clinton last year, and she just would come home crying because of all the kids that wouldn't come to school because they were scared and their parents took them into hiding. And that just hurts my heart.
I mean, so much so it was something that we elected to after a tremendous amount of thought. It's something that obviously I'm extremely passionate about, serving those students. I mean, we put something out publicly to simply say, your students are safe with us. You can trust us. We will continue to do everything that we have always done and we'll do every single day to keep your students safe regardless. And the reaction that we got from that was, I mean, it makes me emotional. It was overwhelming because those families, again, they trust us. And we have that relationship with that family. We're not talking about a statistic on a sheet. It's a human being.
And did you see those students return back? Their families allowed them to come back?
Yes, and again we had a tremendous amount of families and people that that catch you at a ball game or uptown in the grocery store, or they send you an email or make a phone call just to simply say thank you for doing that, because that provided me.
Was there concern about political blowback that may come by putting out a letter like that?
For me personally?
No. The district?
No.
And so once again, I'm going to reiterate the importance of the school site itself. We can say these things, but our families have relationships with the employees within the building. And with that being said, our registered number from this time last year is up. So that tells us right now they're okay. We have to keep a pulse on it so that we can, that's our first indicator something's going on. But I've got to take a moment and give a shout out to the teachers who are calling and saying it's okay, come on back, I'm looking forward to seeing you. The principals who are ensuring that different cultures are being represented so they know that they feel at home, as well as how we will take care of them when they hit the door. And so, but that's, I gotta say, that isn't us. That's the sites that are ensuring.
The front lines.
That front line is on and they're ready and they're taking care of business. And our role then is to support the front line.
Things are best handled at the lowest level.
It really is.
Absolutely.
That's good.
I'm just excited to sit up here and hear all these stories. I mean, I think you guys especially are sharing the reason why leadership is important in our districts. Because we need to stay in front of these things, but we need to empower and get the right people at the right level doing the things. There's all this stuff coming from around the state at us and the nation. Our job is to take that and figure out how to work it. I'm just impressed with what you guys have shared.
And before we conclude this year's Superintendent Roundtable, we're talking success stories. We're going to take a breath. This is my favorite part of the Roundtable every year. We will celebrate these great Oklahoma schools. Stick with us. And we got a question from a parent. She wanted to hear something positive, success stories in your districts. Take a listen.
We hear all the time about the struggles and challenges facing education today. What are some success stories from the district that you're proud of, and what new initiatives for the coming school year are you most excited about?
We just figured out a way that all of our kids can get into our home ball games for free, because that's something that we feel like we can grow the high school experience, and so our high school kids will be able to start attending home ball games for free. And so we're really excited about those impacts and how it has on our school culture.
Well, there are always a lot of good things going on in Mid-Del and in any district. One of the things that's unique about Mid-Del is that we're the only district in the state that has our own Career Tech Center. And so we've been able to increase over the last few years enrollment of our high school students in Career Tech, while increasing the number of our high school students enrolled in concurrent at Rose State College. And so with all of that really tightly located in our community, we have students that are really getting more and more progress towards an associate's degree while they're still in high school than ever before. We also have really improved our partnership with Rose State College so that our students who are in our Career Tech classes are operating under an articulation agreement and earning college credit for the programs that they're also getting industry certification in at the same time. On top of that, we passed the $492 million bond a couple of years ago. We have about a dozen construction projects going on around the district, and I'm just excited to see that progress that's happening. The inconvenience is real, but I'm excited to see what's coming down the way for us.
One of the things at Stillwater Public Schools that are always, paramount being, university town with Oklahoma State and NOC, also, Office of Career Tech, having a Career Tech there in town. Something that we're always extremely proud of, and the community takes great pride in, is being one of the highest academic achieving, districts throughout the state year over year. So obviously those are primary functions of education, and so we're proud about that. But a couple of programs that I'm learning about as I'm coming into the district that we're extremely proud of and are also highly successful, which aviation programs, many up here, if not everyone, has aviation programs. That's been a really big push in the state, but it's something that Stillwater was an early adopter on and has really done some incredible things, as well as nationally and even some worldwide competitions in our robotics programs that our students are taking part in. Got to at the end of the year, take in some performing arts opportunities. We're recognized, with some distinctions of being a wonderfully supportive community for the arts, and so we're extremely proud about that. And then, athletically, we've got some building projects going, and that's fun. But athletically, we had the number 4 draft pick this year in Ethan Holiday, and I know that's always something to rally around and to be proud of from your programs, and some of those families in our community that take great pride in that. So some really exciting things.
With Norman sitting next to Stillwater, and he mentioning that other college, I do have to say a couple of things. But all joking,
we're all proud of our Oklahoma University.
We are, and I love hearing all the great things that are going on, and we all share similar stories, I believe. But just really excited about August 13th, actually, kids coming back. We do the work for them, and working with adults is a lot of fun, but getting to see the kids is incredible. In Norman, obviously, we're building a huge aviation academy with the University of Oklahoma, and our bond project, largest in our history, our community supported, tons of projects going on. But one of the things I'm really excited about, and this is nothing new, I know some of you guys already do this, but being able to provide daycare for our teachers. for a very low cost. That's something we're incredibly proud of. So we're kicking that off this year. We have a great enrollment, and we're able to give our teachers the ability at a very, very, very low cost to bring their kids into a daycare setting where they know the people teaching them, and so it's from birth until school aged, and just really, really excited about that.
And I will say that we have the same thing. We're opening it up this year in partnership with UConn and Mustang. We have a daycare for our teachers' kids that we're excited about. And when the spots opened up, they weren't open for very long, and it was full because it's a huge need. But some other things that are going on in UConn, we have our PATHS program, which is our pursuing associates through high school. And it's going strong, and it's a very successful program. A few years ago, there was a partnership created with Southwestern to bring Southwestern onto UConn public schools and host college classes there. And there were some snags that were hit there, but we are in discussions again with Southwestern on renewing that agreement with them, trying to work out the details with them. So we're excited about that and the opportunities that will bring not only our kids, but our community as well.
This past year, we started our orchestra program, which I know several districts have that, and that was something that patrons had brought up to me the second that I walked in that district, is that they wanted to see orchestra begin, and we started it this year, and going into this upcoming school year, we've doubled our enrollment in that program, which is exciting. And so it marries so well with our high-functioning band program. Our theater program put on amazing performances last year. Choir is always a phenomenal show, and I think it really spotlights the talent that exists within our district. And so those are the things that I always look forward to every year. And when people are saying, it's great that you come out to these things, I never think about it in terms of duty. I think of it in terms of entertainment, because they're so talented.
One of the things I think you're hearing as an overarching theme is providing opportunities for students. I think there's more opportunities for students now than ever before. It's all about opportunities for kids, and I think that's the most important message.
And maybe if I may share, I'm sorry, but no, seriously, I cannot go without saying the state of Oklahoma is #1 for pre-K, not just in regards of the enrollment, but the importance of and the metrics for measurement in regards of our pre-K programs across the state. And so we all have the thing that we like, but that one actually is our unifier across the stage, is in regards of our pre-K.
Well, I want to thank all of you for taking the time to talk with us. I know our parents, the teachers, the students look forward to this every year. You shared very candidly. I think we all learned something during the Superintendent Roundtable, so I am thankful for the time, and I wish you a very happy school year. And there was a lot, let me tell you, there was a lot of this conversation that wasn't able to be on this program on air. You will find a lot of bonus content on the KOCO5 YouTube page. Thanks for watching.